Hello and welcome to Fandom Friday, a podcast series devoted to various fandoms brought to you by the Ocean County Library's annual all ages library con Fan Nation, the Geek Extravaganza. For today's episode, we'll all be discussing all things video games, and the wonderful Kristen wrote all that, so he gets all the credit. My name's Vince. I am the young adult librarian at the Manchester branch of the Ocean County Library.
My name is Matt. I'm the branch manager at the Point Pleasant Beach Branch Library.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm a children's librarian at Toms River.
I am Chris, and I am a part-time library assistant at Plumstead.
I guess I'll talk about how I first got into gaming, and then we'll go to each of you about your own gamer origin story. So I started very young, like all of you. The first system I ever had was a Nintendo 64. So I didn't have any of the NES or any of that. The first game I ever played was Mario 64. I watched my brother play because he was I'm the baby of the family. So of course I had to watch while everyone played. And then he would play and we were terrified by the underwater level where the eel comes out of the hole. That really freaked me out as a kid. And then from then on, it just kind of snowballed. It's GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Banjo-Kazooie. And then from then on, I mainly stuck to PlayStation. Like I got PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, but every now and then I supplement it with an Xbox.
Super Mario 64 is such a great game. Dire Docks is. I put that music on. That music puts me in a good place when I'm feeling stressed out. Anyway, so my name is Matt. I am the old man of the group here. My first console was an Atari 2600, way back in somewhere in 1984 when I was like 5 years old. The Atari 2600 does not hold up at all. It is, other than to laugh at the graphics from the early 80s. But I did own the Atari ET game that is infamous for getting buried in the California desert. That is a game I still have somewhere in my house. And then the NES, the original NES and Super Mario Brothers took over my life somewhere around age 8 or 9. Everything about the original Nintendo spoke to me as a child. And then Zelda has been my favorite series throughout my entire life. I am still to this day primarily a Nintendo fan. I've had all of the Nintendo consoles, a couple of the Nintendo handhelds. I've had other systems. I had a Sega Genesis, I had a PlayStation 2, an Xbox 360, and I have a PS4 to supplement all of my Nintendo, but those I always pick up later in their life cycle. Nintendo, I pretty much buy their consoles right out of the bat, and yeah, I love Nintendo, and I love video games in general.
So my first, I didn't have a console. The first thing I had was a handheld. I had the see-through purple Game Boy, which my parents bought me specifically so I could play Pokemon Blue. My brother got Pokemon Red because we couldn't have the same ones, even though it didn't make any sense to my parents why we needed two different ones. So we didn't have consoles in my house besides handhelds for a really long time until I guess my mom bought us a PlayStation 1 at one point, or a PS2, I forget. And then she got us a Wii. Then I started buying myself a PS4, PS5. So I mostly play PlayStation now, though I do have a Switch, because how else am I going to play Pokemon? But yeah, that's how I started with Pokemon. That's how I started.
So I started with the GameCube. That was like our pretty much first system in the house. We did have a Nintendo 64, but me personally was the GameCube. And I started with Pokemon Stadium, so I was also on the Pokemon start trend. From there, I got my first Game Boy, but I had the Game Boy Advanced. And I was playing a lot of those games at the time. And then from there, I kind of fell in love with it. So I had ended up with DS. And then I had other console systems like the PS4, which I currently have. And just like Kristen was saying, it was the same thing. Me and my older brother also had to have the different games from each other. We couldn't play the same thing ever. But he's actually the reason I kind of started gaming, is because he was the big gamer in our family. But now it kind of revolved, and now I'm the gamer of the family. So what's everyone playing right now?
Great question. I just finished Hogwarts Legacy. That took me a long time because, as you all know, that for those of you who played that game, it's very, very big and very faithful to the Harry Potter world. So if you're a huge Potter nerd, like a lot of us are in this discussion, and a lot of people are in the library space, that game was like a dream come true. So I really and I'm sure this happens to all of us when we're doing open world video games. We put the main quest line on hold and we just explore the world and do a bunch of side quests. And by the time it's back to return to the main quest, we're over leveled, or we've already done like explored most of the world. So that's mainly why it took me so long to do that. But what I absolutely love about this game, and I'm sure a lot of you who've played it will agree, is just character customization, about how you can make your character look exactly however you want to. Like, you can do a mirror image of yourself. You could do like a dream person that you've always wanted to look at. And whatever you choose stays true in every cutscene. So however they look, whatever they're wearing, even if it's the most ridiculous outfit, it's going to look just like in the cutscene.
I'm playing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and that is kind of all I've been doing for 2 weeks. And as you mentioned, open world, it's just constant like, ooh, what's that? Ooh, what's that? I've been attempting to get to spoilers because the game has only been out for 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. I'm trying to head to one of the main objectives. I've been trying to head to it for probably about a week. I decided last week, like, I'm going to get this done before I was on vacation. I'm like, I'm going to get one of these main objectives done before I return to work. Nope, not at all. I'm still not there, just because that's how I play that game. Is just you can't ignore the shiny things that keep popping up, and I'll think of something else I want to do, or maybe I want to level up this armor or go gather some more of this, and then I'm off in another direction, and it's a joy to be back in that world.
I just also finished Hogwarts Legacy. It took me 68 hours. I'm at 95% trophy completion.
Oh,
I need to play 3 more playthroughs to get all the other trophies, because you have to do one of each house.
Yeah, you have to go to the map chamber.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice. At least not the whole game, but I played as a very nice Ravenclaw, and I'm going to play my next playthrough as a very mean Hufflepuff. Is my. But I took a little break. So I just started Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Ooh.
I'm only a couple hours into that. It did just crash on me, so I have to see when I turn it on where I am. But I played Fallen Order a little while ago, and I really liked that one, so I'm excited about this one. So I'm hoping it goes well.
Yeah, that looks like a cool game.
I heard about that it was poorly optimized or something.
I don't know. Sometimes my PS5 is running hot, I feel like, when it's going. So I think it's just really working.
Chris, you're...
I have an online group that I play a vast majority of games with. I'm constantly switching through the week. But in terms of myself, what I'm playing by myself is most right now is Disney Dreamlight.
I'm playing that too.
Yes. And honestly, same thing. It's not a full open world, but having the character customization is really fun. Being able to play around with the world that you are giving is really fun. Me personally, I'm really big on Disney in general. So when that game originally came out, my first thought was like, oh, I gotta have this. I need to play this.
Did you pay for early access?
You know what? When I found out about it, it was actually after early access.
Oh, I paid the $30 to get in early.
I should have. If I had found it sooner, I would have. But I've been playing that kind of nonstop, mixed in with all my other nonsense games.
So do you create your own character in that? Like your own princess character or any character that you want?
Sorta. So you kind of play as your own human character for the most part, but you're able to dress them up however you want. So you can make them look like a princess if you want. You can change hair colors, hairstyles, outfits. You can base your outfit off of a certain movie theme or show theme that's within the game. Right now, I think my character is in a Lion King theme kind of outfit. And with the new update that just came out, I haven't been able to play with the new update yet, but I'm very excited to get involved in that, which I do plan to go home and play that soon. So,
is it free to play? Is that
it is free to play?
Okay.
Yeah,
And it's an MMO, I think, Matt. It's MMORPG, right?
it's sort of like Animal Crossing,
Yeah, that's
but with Disney characters,
Oh, okay.
and kind of a depressing story about growing up, I feel like.
A little bit.
They're like, you forgot about me. I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, that was the most heartbreaking thing for me in that game too. Was like some of these characters coming up and then going, "Oh, we haven't seen you in so long," and I'm like, "Yeah." But there are things in the game that you can pay for, but you don't have to pay for.
Okay.
It's like an optional kind of thing.
Oh
Yeah.
If you want them, though, you don't have to do it, and it's not going to affect your gameplay in the slightest, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's mostly cosmetic stuff. Like you can pay to get points to like make your house look different and stuff, but you don't have to. You can just live in a house.
Oh man, I kind of want to touch on something that you said, Kristinelle, about your character. You talked about your character briefly. It's funny that you mentioned that because I did a guy my first time and they put him in Ravenclaw, but I actually made him the mean one. I made him extremely mean. So every quest where there was something like, oh, you want to help this person or do you want to keep whatever?
Oh yeah, when you could be like, no, you have to pay me to get your item back. You told them they had to pay you.
Yeah, exactly. And even there was one where this girl lost a mermaid amulet or a mermaid necklace and you had to give it back to her. So I went through all the trouble. It was a pain, by the way. I feel justified because it was a pain. So I went back to her and then I'm like, all right, here it is. And she's like, all right, can I have it back? And I was so mad at how much of a pain it was. I'm like, no, I'm keeping it for myself.
I have a hard time playing a bad guy. Red Dead Redemption, I was as good as you could possibly get. Every person I could help, I would. And even I accidentally shoot somebody and feel terrible about it and watch my morality ding and I'd be like, all right, I got to go do some stuff to get my morality back up because and by the end of the game, I was maxed out. And I've thought about restarting the game and playing it as a bad guy, but I'm like, I don't think Arthur Morgan as a good guy is, I think, one of the most heartbreaking characters I've ever come across in video games or stories in general.
Normally, you can't be bad.
I normally can't do like a bad playthrough. It's hard, but I feel like in Hogwarts, because I'm just being a mean child, it's a little bit easier.
I think that's very indicative of both your characters, though. I feel like good people in real life kind of struggle to, because like video games are supposed to be an escape. So you may be the nicest person in real life, but you had a terrible day and you're like, I'm tired of being nice. I want to go in here and do mean stuff. So I think the reason why both of you have a hard time is just good people and you can't be mean on purpose. This is why I love video games, is because you can do multiple playthroughs.
Yeah.
So no matter how hard it is sometimes for me to stomach being a complete and utter mean person, I can always be like, hey, it's just for this playthrough. Next playthrough, I'll be super nice.
Yeah. I want to try that with Red Dead because my understanding is there's completely different cutscenes and things that come up when you play it differently.
So Matt, do you play online with Red Dead or you just play?
No, I just did the story mode. Do you play online, right? Do you still?
I do. That's actually one of the games I just got back into recently that I'm playing with a group. And I constantly flop in the online side of it because you're dealing with other people and their characters and everything else. And lately, Red Dead has calmed down quite a lot from when I first played it. So I don't have as many issues where I have to like be mean to other people. But being mean in games is actually kind of difficult. But I think it also calls for which game you're playing.
Yes, this is true.
I play a lot of Red Dead Redemption where I'm actually more on the nicer side, but I have done bad things in that game. And yes, the cutscenes are different. It is actually pretty interesting. But the main game I'm mean in is GTA.
You know what? That's funny. Yeah, I have no problem with. Yeah, yep. That one I have no problem. That game is just the cynicism and everybody just kind of a jerk, and that one I have no problem. Just
right. But yeah, it does definitely vary between the games too. Like GTA being the game that it is, I obviously can't discuss most of that.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Well, just saying flawless. Just a lawless.
It's law. Yes, and and because of that, I don't feel everybody is just mean in that game.
Oh yeah,
cynical jerk, and so I have no problem just playing those characters as they are sort of written.
Now, Vince or Kristen, do either of you guys play any online games? Do you guys delve into that world at all or not?
I'm glad you brought that up because I used to.
What did you play?
I played Rainbow Six Siege mainly.
Okay.
Which is a first-person shooter. I'm not going to go too much into that, but I've also played Smite, which is like a MOBA where you play different gods from different pantheons of mythology. So Greek, Norse, very inclusive, I feel like, because there's gods from all the cultures and you get to play them and you have different abilities. So I was very much like you, Chris. I had a core group of online people that I played with, but I don't know if you come across this, Kristen, Matt, or Chris, the toxicity online. It really wears at your soul. I feel like a lot of that ruins a lot of experiences and sours the multiplayer aspect of it. And I avoid it because of that. But I want to hear all of your experiences.
For me, I don't play that many games online, mostly because when I first made my PlayStation account, I was only playing single player games. So my username has the word girl in it.
Okay.
Oh no.
So
Yeah.
I've played a couple online, and I normally play like when Uncharted had a multiplayer mode, when Assassin's Creed had a multiplayer mode. That one wasn't as bad because that was actually really good. So people normally didn't talk to me. But if they do talk to me, normally it's bad. Like it doesn't go well. So I don't play online that much. I used to like test video games from home for a little bit for their online modes. So it was minimum wage and it was at 2 a.m. because I was playing with people from around the world. And this company would be like, log on to our game. Now everyone unplug their router and plug it back in so we can see what their servers would do if there was like an emergency. I mostly online played when I was testing. And that was kind of nice, though, because people weren't yelling at each other. Everyone was very polite because we were just testing everything.
I didn't know that you tested games, Chris.
Yeah, that's cool. That's pretty neat.
Matt, Chris, what are your experiences on?
All right. Please don't make fun of me. I'm not a 12-year-old boy in the year 2019, but
do you know what year it is, Matt?
I played a lot of Fortnite when it came out on the Switch. When it came out on the Switch, and then when I got my PS4, I continued. That game, the Battle Royale, I first saw it in PUBG, and when that came out, I was like, that seems like a really cool idea. And as someone who grew up watching video games progress, and that were mostly single player to then some real light online stuff that I played with my modem way back in the mid 90s, to seeing a game where you could jump in with 100 people and battle to the end, that was just seemed really cool. But I didn't get into PUBG, and then Fortnite came out, and when it was free to play on the Switch, I was like, I gotta try this. The concept seemed, and at the time it was novel, and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't play with people. I only solo queued. I tried to find some people through Discord, and I found some incredibly entertaining dude from Scotland who I played with every once in a while, and then he disappeared on Discord, and I stopped playing Fortnite, and I always wonder what happened to him. We'll have memories of him forever because he was in the service in Scotland and would tell me stories about partying with French people he woke up on a, never mind. It was crazy. That was really my only experience playing with people online. And recently I've been playing a ton of Splatoon 3 up until Zelda came out. I think I have like 270 hours in the Splatoon, and I've gotten okay at that. And I love it simply because there is no voice chat. You can jump. There are people that team up on Discord and things like that, and there is coordinating without voice chat is difficult, but simply not having that toxicity there makes the game, it doesn't scare me. If I'm not playing well, I may not even notice it, and maybe the people are yelling at me out there in the world, but I don't know it, and I just keep playing. I absolutely love Splatoon. I highly recommend it to anybody who's into team-based shooters. It's unique. It's got the Nintendo joy baked into it that I love and respond to, and the way you play the game is unique compared to other shooters.
See, so for me, when I first started online, I was playing an MMORPG called Terra. Unfortunately, its server had shut down recently, so it is no longer running. But loved that game to death. I played
I don't know that one.
So many hours on that. It was a PC game.
Okay.
So I played on my laptop, or my laptop no longer could run it also, but I played on European servers. So just like Matt, I met a lot of people from the other side of the world, and I was playing at really odd hours because I was trying to hang out with them. That was my first introduction really into the online world. And, that game wasn't toxic. There wasn't really any issues. So I never really had a problem. Once I kind of fell off from that game and started working on getting consoles, started playing along those lines, my partner was the one that got me into GTA. GTA was my next experience. And that almost ruined it for me.
Really?
That game was tough because, just like Kristen said, people find out you're a female, and unfortunately, it doesn't always end well. But it never deterred me from playing as a general. I had my partner and his friend who he met in Canada a couple years back. And then our group eventually grew. We now have about 10 people in my online group that we all play with together.
That's awesome.
And having that group kind of makes it better because you're not relying so much on trying to play with a bunch of random people that you've never met before. You're not trying to involve yourself with a bunch of people that you don't know how they're going to act or how they're going to be, which is why I'm able to play so many different games now that are online. I do have GTA, Red Dead. I play this game called Gang Beasts.
Oh, that's with the wrestler, different colored wrestling, right?
Yes, which is so much fun. I also play Generation Zero and DayZ, all of which are online, all of which involve grouping up and doing not necessarily team things. You can kind of do your own thing, but it's much better to have extra hands to help you in events. So, I mean, in the original experience of online, it was definitely not easy. But now that I have the group, it's a lot of fun. And I love being online with others. But having my Switch to kind of fall back on when it's like, all right, online's too much for me right now, I definitely enjoy being able to swap and be able to go do those type of things.
Is everyone in your group, are they people that knew each other outside of gaming, or are some of them people you met through like Discord or just playing online?
Most of them were just online. My partner had met our other friend when he was playing online in Minecraft. When we got online, we met two brothers who live in Massachusetts. I actually was able to meet them in person.
Wow, that's cool.
Recently. That was really fun. We also have other friends from around the States in general. Two of the friends live in Canada. But, that's something that a lot of people don't realize with online games. Like, yes, there can be toxicity. There can be problems. But in a way, these people that I've made friends with and these people that I play with now, honestly, I've turned into some of my best friends. Even though I haven't met them directly in person, they're still some of my best friends. And I am planning on trying to meet more of them. And I'm actually working on trips and everything else that I'm planning for.
That's really neat.
But yeah, no, we pretty much all met just playing similar games. Most of them I've all met playing GTA, surprisingly. So that's why I say, like, even though GTA can be toxic, I've met some of my best friends there, so I can't complain.
I love how you have this core group of friends that you've met that trust is a cornerstone in it, and how you're able to enjoy so many different multiplayer games together, which is really awesome because gaming is always two sides. You either meet these people who bring out the worst in you and they lose on purpose, or they team kill you on purpose, or other than that. Or then these games on the other side, they bring together these people from different walks of life. Like you wouldn't ever have met these wonderful people if it wasn't for the game that you were playing together on. So I think that's very beautiful. That's the yin and yang thing about it, is all about balance. It's like, of course it's going to be bad, but there's going to be this good too.
Online games do bring out a form of chaos in their own right. That can be rather fun at times. Definitely having that core group is one of the most amazing things for me. I probably wouldn't have stuck with online games had I not grown the group that I did.
Cool.
I play a lot of video games, but I don't know if I'd be considered a good player because I take such a long time to do some stuff. And I just feel like people would be like, what are you doing, girl? You're taking forever. I'm like, I can do it, but it's going to take me a while.
Yeah. And I'm old. I'm 43, and I know a lot of online gaming seems to be, I don't know, I'm afraid to dip my toe into it. Well, the reason I did it in Fortnite is because I found a Discord server called Fortnite Over 40. So it was mostly old people playing together, which is where I met my Scottish buddy, Rory, wherever you are out there, Rory. But I go on the Splatoon servers and I'm like, do I want to do this? I also live in a very small house. And if I'm going to voice chat with people, like, my whole family will hear me, my wife and kids, and they don't need to. I take up the TV enough with my gaming to make everyone have to leave the living room because I'm voice chatting with people is also kind of an impediment. But I also I don't know how to make those connections confidently with strangers over online. And that's where I just stick with solo queuing and not caring if I'm playing poorly or trying not to care if I'm playing poorly.
I've talked about possibly doing Twitch, and I'm still deciding. I do not have any of that, but I don't play properly at all. I'm doing whatever I got to do to get things done, and I'm having fun with it. In my opinion, that's all that matters. And that's within general video games. Like, no one has to be good at the game that they play to have fun, and no one has to be good at the game to make friends, and no one has to be good at the game to say they're part of that group. And so many people are like, oh, well, you're not good at this and you can't play. And it's like, do not let those people ruin your game experience. If you're having fun and by the end of your gaming session, you can say, wow, that was really good. I did a really good job. Or, you know what, I had a lot of fun and I was laughing. That's what matters. That's why people do game. It's not because somebody's telling you to be good or you have to be a certain expectation. A gamer is a gamer. You can play games as good as you want, like the people who are famous for it, and you can play games casually, and you know what? You might not win every battle that you have, and you might not win or complete every mission that you get. But if you had fun, that's what matters most.
I really love that. It's the same reason why like I play exclusively single player games. Like that's really what I focus on. Every now and then I'll do a multiplayer game, but it's usually like a cooperative, like we're all on the same team, like Left 4 Dead or something. But when I'm gaming and it's like, what difficulty do you want? I'm not gonna go instantly ham and go expert gameplay or this difficulty, like master difficulty, Matt, in Link and Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that right away. Like maybe one day, but now you said, Chris, I just want to play and have fun and no one's judging me. No, I don't want to have an audience. I'm not in like a coliseum where people are watching me. It's like, oh, he did this move terribly. I'm just there to just game and relax after work because that's usually like it's gaming's really whatever you want it to be. It could be however slow you want it to be, however fast you want it to be.
Yeah.
As long as it takes your mind off things, I feel like it makes you happy.
Yeah. And I think it's been with the advent of what we call cozy games. It's your Animal Crossings and Stardew Valley and stuff like that. Like when I met my wife, she really didn't play games. I think she had, here and there over the years, some Mario Party and stuff like that. But when she discovered Animal Crossing, that just opened up a whole world for her. And that game has been a part of our family from its inception. I have 2 teenagers now and they play games. My 15-year-old is really into Tears of the Kingdom right now. This is her first doing it on her own. And she's like, Dad, I beat the boss. And, I'm like, yes. Because up until now, she's kind of either been afraid of fighting things or just watched me play. And this is the first game that I have to give up my Switch and let her play it, which is,
I remember when I convinced your wife to play De Blob. I was like, you can play De Blob. It's not that hard. And she really liked that.
We still talk about that. Like I bring home games. I'm like, this is kind of like the Blob Hunt. And she's like, no, it's not. No, Kirby Forgotten Lands. We have been playing that together. Kirby is awesome. This was the first Kirby game I ever played. And we've enjoyed the heck out of it. But yeah, that's right. I didn't know that you were the one who recommended the Blob to her, but we still talk about that.
You like art and music.
Yeah.
This is that kind of game.
I was going to ask Matt, as someone who does have a family that does do the gaming and everything, would you say that you guys all pretty much game the same, or do you all have different interests and still just manage to get along with it?
My older child, who's 18, they bought their own Switch. They asked for a gaming laptop when they graduated high school. So they have been delving into PC gaming a little bit. Both of my kids really liked Minecraft, as everyone does, pretty much from a very early age. Minecraft is awesome. So when they got their gaming laptop and they were able to download mods and things like that, they've been playing Genshin Impact. They bought their own copy of Tears of the Kingdom so they wouldn't have to try and steal mine. Because like I said, I'm sharing that with my 15-year-old. And Animal Crossing was, I mean, when that came out in the pandemic, a week after we shut down, and that game came out, I seriously think that game was being played by somebody in my house. It was being played every waking moment of the day. I think we did some math after like 3 months, and we were like, this game was played 9 to 10 hours every day over the next 3 months. Not by one of us, but we have a shared town that we all shared our own town until my older child got their own copy so they could make their own village. But I think we have something like 1,500 hours in our combined village together.
That's pretty cool, though.
It's awesome. Just like Kristen, as soon as I heard that you had a family and part of your family game, you know how families have family board game night or something like that. Do you game together as a type of relationship built in? And how does it happen? Do you go in the same room and one person's playing Minecraft, one person's playing Tears of the Kingdom, or you collectively play the game together?
When I was growing up, my parents were into sports, and we would play baseball and basketball outside. I always wanted to be playing video games, and I'm realizing that is sort of a focal point of entertainment for my family. And we do everything, all the above. Like right now, I might be playing Tears of the Kingdom on the TV, and my older kid will be playing it on their Switch, and my younger kid will be staring at me, telling me to get off it. Or we'll bust that out and we'll all play Switch sports for an hour, or Mario Kart or Mario Party, things like that, when everyone's kind of in the mood to play stuff together. And Minecraft, my 15-year-old, we started playing that together. We have our own world. She has some serious IBS during the pandemic and was out of school for a little while. And during that, I was home with her, and that's what we would do to sort of relax. And so we have our own Minecraft world that we built together. So it's all of it. We'll play individually, and come together at times and play together. It's really part of our family dynamic, which I'm very happy about.
It's so funny you saying that. You're making me think. I'm the oldest of 4 kids. So I have 2 brothers and a sister. And I would watch my brother play video games, but I don't really think we played together. We all had I think 1-player game. The only thing I remember playing with him is we'd play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. Because I think it was the only game I felt confident in. And we'd only do the one mode where you would try to do a trick and it would turn your color. And then the next person had to do a trick to try to top your trick. We all hung out in the same room when we played video games, but we didn't play them together.
Gaming has changed. I remember the early games only had 2 ports for the controllers, and the games I grew up playing, you couldn't multiplayer, or you handed the controller back and forth. The fact that most systems are capable of 4-player couch co-op is awesome. And that's how we're able to do that. Couldn't back in the day.
Yeah. I use the Switch here at work. I have a video game program I do with the kids, and I can have 8 of them playing Super Smash at once. And it's great because sometimes I do have 8 kids and I'm like, well, the only game we can play is Super Smash. Or I have them take turns at Mario Kart because I can get 4 in at a time. But it is kind of great that you can have that many people playing.
Yeah, it's awesome. I do the same thing here in my branch, and that is absolutely one of my favorite things about this job and what we get to do in our profession. Putting together the Smash Bros tournament or something like that here at the library and watching the kids just they're having a great time. I'm having a great time watching them. It is one of my favorite things about what we get to do in our jobs.
And I believe we're going to be allowing kids to play a game at Fan Nation as well.
Yeah, I think we'll have a gaming area set up on the 2nd floor of the Tom's River branch. That's usually how it works. Gaming will definitely be a big part of Fan Nation.
Awesome.
I think it's really cool how you have this interest, Chris, in being a Twitch streamer.
Yes.
Is that something you plan on pursuing as a hobby first and see if it develops into something more? And I feel like this would be very useful, especially for kids who dream of being the next XQC or the next Valkyrie or anything like that.
I don't know if I can make a career out of it. As much as I love games, I feel like if I were to make a career out of it, it would ruin its perspective for me, and I don't want that. But in terms of doing it and having it as a hobby, you know what, I'm playing tonight anyway. Why not let a group come in and watch me perform chaos, I guess. But, one of the players that I play with, his name's Nick. He actually is a streamer. He's the one that I discuss a lot with, and we've gone back and forth. And I've set up a Twitch account, but I've yet to post anything or do anything with it. But I mean, I would love to get involved in that and be able to do that on the side, just because I want to add the extra element. But, for those who do want to really make Twitch like their go-to, it's going to take a lot of patience, and it's going to take a lot of perseverance. No matter what you decide to play, no matter what you decide to do, what your quote unquote theme gimmick is of your channel, you have to pretty much roll with that. You got to know that that's planned out for yourself. You got to know this is what you want to do, how you want to do it, what your thought processes behind the ideas of it are going to be. But you have to work for that goal if you want to be the next Valkyrie or even PewDiePie. But it's not something that's just going to happen overnight. It's not something that's going to happen in a month. It may not even happen in a year. So for anybody that does decide that they want to be a Twitcher or a streamer in general, whether that's YouTube or Twitch, understand that you have to work for the goal that you want to reach. And anyone out there can do it, but you might not see the exact rewards you may want. And that's not to discourage you. That's not to make you not want to do it. Do what makes you happy. But if you're expecting overnight results, you can't. There is some realistic aspects of it that you do have to consider, which is one of the reasons why I also have not jumped fully into it myself, because I haven't necessarily come up with an idea for what I want to do with my channel or what I would want to really expect out of it. So that's the whole reason why I have not started personally. But I hope to, within maybe the next year or so, get something going and have something along those lines.
You have to let me, Matt, and Kristen know when you do something, because we watch you. Be like, hey,
I'll follow you.
We work with this person.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yes, I will do. Of course, I have to make sure my group's on page, because some of them don't want to be a part of that, and that's perfectly fine. But it's something that I have to remind myself too, that like if I'm playing, I have to figure out who wants to be involved and who doesn't, and make sure that the ones who don't want their voices heard, but maybe still want to play and have their character on screen, quote unquote, that they're aware that this is a thing that I'm doing. And it's been a discussion within my group that this is a goal I want, this is a thing I want to try. And, I had 2 people voice specifically, they did not want a part of it. And you know what? That's fine. But, I plan to do things in the single route where it's like, I may go on Twitch for like a relaxation, like Saturday or something, and it be me playing Dreamlight or Spyro or whatever have you, that's a single player game. And then I'll have the crazy nights where it's me playing with one of a group of my friends and one of the games that we do together. That's going to be something that also I have to figure out. Like, it's going to have to be a schedule. Plus, working with the library, I have to kind of mold it around that as well. And I haven't figured out that schedule either.
Do you have the equipment and stuff? I've always been curious as to how one even goes about doing that. You need a pretty powerful PC, right?
It kind of depends. So my friend Nick that does stream, he actually just shares screens off his PS4. And what he's able to do is he just shares it off of that. He has the chat going and everything on like a separate monitor, and he has a microphone. He doesn't even show his face on his streams. Okay.
Oh.
So I'm still playing around with the idea of, do I want to show my face or not? Because again, that has its own.
You could also do a VR. I know some people do that. Like, instead of showing their face, they have like an animated cat where their face would be. So your voice is still being heard, but it's coming from this cute animated cat that everyone would love.
I have thought about that as well. But that's the thing. There are so many ways to do it, and there's so many ideas that you can roll with to make it work for you. And, I don't necessarily have all the equipment. I don't have a microphone or anything like that. But if I screen record, I can just upload videos. I don't necessarily have to be live either, which is nice. So that's also a thought that maybe I'll just start recording some of my sessions with my friends, see how that plays out, post them to Twitch first, and just kind of see what I get. Maybe I'll get some views, maybe I won't, and we'll play around with it.
That's actually what I heard, how a lot of streamers got big, exactly what you were saying. They didn't quit their day job. They did it part-time as a hobby. And they actually started by posting videos on YouTube and building up a YouTube channel first, just to see how it would go. And then when it caught fire, then they transitioned over to Twitch. So like something like that, maybe.
I definitely don't think I want to fully transition to Twitch at any point. I would definitely rather keep it as a side hobby, especially with me being part-time and having the little bit of free time I have. I would stream on the days that I have free time. Yeah. And if I can make a mini career of it to where it's like I'm almost working full-time, but working 2 jobs, I will gladly do that. That wouldn't be so bad for me. And then I can also make my own schedule and I can make my own moves that if like I have to work an extra day at the library, I'm not streaming today, guys. Sorry. So there is a lot of freedom with Twitch that is appealing to a lot of people as well. But you have to edit, you have to post, you have to be on a schedule, you
got to put work in.
Yeah. Right. It's not something you can just, hey, I'm recording myself and you're good. For those who are thinking about it and those who do want to do it, try it out. You never know what could happen. You could be the next sensation. Or, you know what? It could just be fun and enjoyable for you. And as long as it's that, no matter what outcome you receive, you're going to be having fun either way. And you're just sharing that fun with others.
Because realistically, everyone cannot be like the next QT. You know, like, no.
No, not at all.
No. Thank you for your answer. That was really well in depth. I wanted to ask you all a question that I've been dying to ask. I heard that we were going to be doing something like this. What games are you passionate about that you actively seek out? What games are you always looking forward to as soon as you see trailers? I don't know, like, do they still do E3? Whenever you see a trailer drop on YouTube.
Oh, E3's dead. It died. It died this year.
I figured something like that died. But like when you look at game trailers, what are the things you look for that determine whether or not you are going to play it? That are like, well, this incentivized me to actually go out and get it and spend my time and money and attention on it.
If I see Assassin's Creed, Kingdom Hearts, or Ratchet and Clank, I'm pretty much just spending money. I'm not even questioning. I'm just going to buy it. When we were out for COVID, I played The Witcher 3. I did the whole game. So I will totally play anything else. Any other Witcher game, I'm in. I'm sold.
When you say Ratchet and Clank, did you also play Sly Cooper?
No, I didn't, because I got into Ratchet and Clank late. My first Ratchet and Clank was A Crack in Time, which is one of the last, I think, PS3 ones. So I got real late to that series.
Okay.
But yeah, like I think Assassin's Creed might be my favorite series. I'm actually pretty good at it and I have a lot of fun, even though you need a board to explain what's actually happening in the plot, much like Kingdom Hearts. I can't always tell you what's happening in it, but I'm having a good time.
Like Kristen said, Kingdom Hearts, yeah, I'm pretty much going to spend any money on. And I'm pretty sure the new one's going to come out on PS5. I do not have PS5 yet, and I will gladly buy a PS5 just to play that game, even if that's the only game I play. But I kind of go for anything that involves a good open world or something based off of something favorite, like Hogwarts Legacy. That was a big one. I have not played that one yet. I do look forward to playing it though.
You gotta get her that, Kristen.
Yeah. I mean, the library has it now for PS4 and PS5, and the Switch one's not out yet because they pushed that date back, but we have the other ones here.
Yeah, I'm probably going to rent that one out. Right now I have Little Big Planet out for like the last 3 months, so I got to beat that first. I kind of lean towards a lot of the cute kind of style games, like Animal Crossing and Disney Dreamlight and stuff like that. So I go for those a lot. In terms of playing games with my friends, it's just whatever everybody's willing to play. But for myself, it's like open world customization, any of the remakes done of a lot of games. Like when I found out Spyro came out for the remake trilogy, I was in love with it instantly because that was one of the games I played as a kid. And that was really fun to play. So I kind of stick more to like those nostalgic, cute kind of feels that are like throwbacks with a twist.
Matt, what about you?
Pretty much the mainline Nintendo games. Nintendo does such a good job. I know people talk about them like they're for kids or whatever, but the company as a whole and the game designers that work for them, their polish, the care and effort they put into their games, just there's a great YouTuber I watch. His channel is called Game Maker's Toolkit, and he has a whole episode where he just talks about Nintendo and what their core focus is, and it is fun. That is their goal. They find and build mechanics, revolutionize mechanics in the gaming world to make them fun. Now, if you look at what they've done with Tears of the Kingdom, I read an article the other day that said other game developers don't even really know how they built that game, the way it functions and doesn't bug out all the time, how these building components work together, and the polish and the time and the effort that they put into their games. Just Zelda's my favorite series of all time. I'm pretty sure I was 5th grade when I was Link for Halloween, so that was somewhere around 1989. Up until Breath of the Wild, when pushed, I would have always said The Link to the Past was my favorite game, the Super Nintendo iteration of Zelda. I've played that game over and over and over again over the years. I used to have a save file right at the Ganon boss, and I would load it up, beat Ganon, and watch the credits roll because the music was so epic to my 13-year-old brain. I loved it. And then Mario, just platformers. And again, what they've done, how they've revolutionized and polished. They went from 2D platformers. Their game design is brilliant. Their level design is brilliant. The work and the care they put into what they're selling the public is just, I love it. Tears of the Kingdom, every single trailer that's come out, though I've avoided a lot of stuff because I really watched every trailer the moment they came out with my family because all of us are super into it. Yeah, Animal Crossing, Mario, Zelda, Splatoon, which is new, but I think because of the polish they put into it, it is right there alongside their other main games. But I've enjoyed other systems a lot. I used to love Resident Evil games. Those were awesome. Final Fantasy, I kept up with those over the years up until, I don't know, I probably stopped playing. I think the last one I played was 13. They just got too much for me, especially when family came along. But mostly Nintendo and their main series.
You made me remember one I forgot, which was any Paper Mario. I will also spend money. If they come out tomorrow and said we're re-releasing Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door on the Switch, I will just call in sick and just play Paper Mario for hours. The Thousand Year Door was my favorite, and I'm just waiting for them to put it on the Switch because they keep putting all the old stuff on there.
Ones, yep.
So I'm just like, where is it? Give it to me.
So another point too, I know Kristen plays Pokemon games. Vince or Matt, do you guys play those at all?
Yeah, I do. I was a huge fan of them. I haven't played Scarlet and Violet yet. I did fall in love with Fire, Ruby, Gold, Silver, Red, Blue, all those. Diamond, Pearl.
That is a series I actually never got into, and I like turn-based games. Yeah, seriously.
Really?
I think I was...
Okay.
When did the first Pokemon came out? It was somewhere around like 96, 97, right?
I think 98.
Okay, so
maybe?
I was in college.
Yeah, I was very young.
I was like 7.
And I was in college and I was 19. You know, I was at that age where I was into Resident Evil and into Silent Hill, and Pokemon came along. I was like, that's for kids. I'm not going to get into that. So
I'm a man. This is for children.
So I overlooked it, and I've tried a couple times over the years because, again, I loved the 2 Final Fantasy games that were on the Super Nintendo, which when they were out in the US for me were 2 and 3, but I think they're in the world, they're 4 and 6, I think, the way they're numbered in Japan and worldwide. And I loved the turn-based combat, but for some reason I've just never had a Pokemon game grab me. And I've tried with a couple of the recent ones, and they haven't for some strange reason. I don't know if I haven't given them enough time or something else has caught my attention. My kids love them.
We got to rectify that issue.
Yeah, I gotta.
We have to sit them down. We got to force them to play through all the good ones.
So the reason I had asked was mostly because back to kind of like the same question about what kind of grabs you in trailers. Pokemon used to be the one to grab me. However, as someone who has grown up more with Pokemon and played a lot of the earlier games, I hate to say it, but I kind of gave up on the newer Pokemon. It's nothing against it, but at the same time, it's almost like they're putting them out just to put them out because they're making them money. And as much as I enjoy Pokemon, it's gotten a little too much for me. I love the art style. I wish they would remake all the older games in the current game style that they have going right now and put them on Switch. I would be in love with that 100%. But the newest ones that had just come out, it's so hard for me to follow at this point.
Do you want to hear the saddest thing? I started to play Violet and it triggered my motion sickness. So I had to stop. That's my one thing with video games sometimes. I only get motion sickness normally with spinning. Like I can't do teacups normally in real life, but every so often there's a game that the way the camera moves, I'm just like, I can't play this. I'm going to throw up everywhere.
So I also have motion sickness, so I get where you're coming from with that one. Most of the games I play, unfortunately, will give me motion sickness, but I still play them. I'm usually taking motion sickness medicine at that point, but that's not going to stop me from playing a lot of the games. But it might stop my time limit on the game.
It normally gets worse when I forget to if I'm like, ooh, I didn't eat lunch or didn't drink anything. And I've been playing since I woke up and I'll be like, maybe I should take a break. Just go look outside, like something that's not spinning.
Yep.
That's specifically why I didn't play Scarlet and Violet.
Really?
Out of the newer ones, because just like her, we grew up with the old versions and we love the old versions, but I feel like they've gotten lazy in their design. The starters just don't look good anymore. Don't look good.
A lot of
the Pokemon, they take like a trash bag and they put eyes on it. It's like, this is a poison Pokemon. I'm like, no, that's a trash bag. What are you doing?
Don't be mean to him. He's trying his best.
Also, we need more evolutions.
Yeah.
I'm just one of those.
No, I like that they're kind of making the Pokemon dumb now. Like the new one that was Little Crocodile. He's so stupid. He just always has such a little dumb face on. And I'm like, oh, you're not so bright, but I love you. I only pick grass types, but I'm always like, you're cute too, little fire crocodile.
I said this to my older kid recently who loves the Pokemon games, and just watching that get pumped out. That's the one Nintendo series I feel like I would probably get into if they put what I consider like the Nintendo polish. Like the fact that between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, same engine, same graphics, they put 6 years between those games because they took the time to just add all this new content and make a new story and new characters. And I feel like the Pokemon games are kind of on the Call of Duty cycle of pump them out. That's part of the reason I haven't gotten into them, because I watch my kid play them and I see the open world, but it just seems sparse. And I'm like, why isn't Nintendo putting their usual, just put a couple years into one game and make it incredible? And I think that would hook me because it has all the elements that I like. There's just something about it that doesn't grab me.
I don't understand why we haven't gotten an amazingly big Pokemon game.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong, Arceus, Chris, and Scarlet and Violet, they're touching on it, but I'm talking about putting Pokemon in a Breath of the Wild setting, that's detailed. And instead of, he uses tackle, instead of the Pokemon jump up in the air, wiggle a little. I just wish they did more movements. I just wish they did more.
I think they're trying to appeal to children still and the adult fans at the same time, which is actually kind of a hard. You want to make it available for kids to play and understand. So I think they still want to keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel about video games being turned to movies?
A
quick opinion kind of.
The last few were good. I mean, Sonic was really good, I heard. Yeah. And I heard the Super Mario movie was good, right?
I haven't seen it. I heard.
I liked it. It was cute.
But I watched Arcane on Netflix. I watched Cyber
that was good.
Edge Runners. I think it's an exciting time to live in, because back in the day when they made video games into movies and TV shows, they absolutely stunk. But I feel like something revolutionary is happening. They're actually doing it good, because look what happened to The Last of Us. Apparently they adapted that really well. So maybe we're living in a time, Chris, where quality is being upped.
I think we have people who grew up playing these games and living in these worlds who are now making movies and understand, you know what I mean? If you look at the Super Mario movie, the live action one that came out in the early 90s, clearly the people involved in that, absolutely no idea what they were, the source material or what they were doing. And it wasn't Mario. It was some weird psychedelic version of Mario that things were called Goombas, but
Listen, that has a special place in my heart, that movie,
of course
okay?
it does.
I love it so much because I think somebody handed a man a pen and go write a Mario movie.
Yeah.
And he was like, there's no plot to the game. And they're like, make it up.
Yeah, shove Dennis Hopper in it.
But I liked the Uncharted movie, even though it wasn't really 100% like Uncharted, because you have to have people who don't know what the game is enjoy the movie, which I do feel like some of these people are like, it's not like the game, but you can't, I don't want to watch all the cutscenes. I can do that on YouTube.
Did anybody watch the Castlevania series on Netflix? That was fantastic. Absolutely loved it.
I only watched the first season because I started to get bored by the second season.
I thought it was great. It was clear to me that the people making it were steeped in Castlevania and they brought the right things from the series into it. I found it very entertaining. And
I see, that's what really appealed to me. Just like you, I watched it, and then I watched things with like Arcane and Edge Runners. If they don't pull any punches, like if it's a rated M game, if they're faithful with that type of thing, it's gonna make it that much more good.
I think that's what we're finally seeing with Sonic. And again, I haven't seen the Mario movie, but clearly they had people behind the scenes that knew what they were doing at the audience. And the fact that gaming is, honestly, it's a bigger industry than film is even these days. So they don't want somebody rewriting it. They want to experience it's weird though. It is a weird thing to do because it's funny. I've been thinking about this with some people I work with who don't play games, but who love comic books and sci-fi and fantasy film. Video games are this unique medium where if you don't have the skill set or you've never played them, but it's an incredibly unique way to experience a story. We were talking about Red Dead before. I don't think I've ever experienced a story in a way like that was such again, no spoilers, but was one of the most moving, heartbreaking story experiences I've ever had across books, film, all of them. Playing a character through and watching him make moral choices or not make moral choices and having that impact the story. It's such a unique medium and storytelling that it almost turning it into a film or a TV show is cool, but it's different and it's not the same thing. And that's why I love gaming, is because you are in the story and your experience with that game is going to be different than every other person's. And that's what draws me back to it. It's such a cool experience to get together and share our experience of a unique story. And film it's there. You get your own interpretations of scenes and things like that. And certain parts of a film will hit people in different ways, but you're all experiencing the same thing. And video games are such a unique medium, which is why I love them.
That's why it's very interesting to me that we did dive into this area of where we do see these games on screen. I love being immersed in the game, but something about seeing it happen almost in a real life aspect to me almost binds the two together in a way. Like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie that's coming out.
So excited about that. It looks so good.
And the other thing is a lot of these things that do kind of have plots. Like when they made the Sonic movie, there was a Sonic series out that they could kind of base some stuff off of. When Five Nights at Freddy's comes out, there's so much lore behind the game and so much story in that game that not a lot of players who play that game recognize, but a lot of the older kind of gaming generation who has played those games does see and now actually gets to fully connect the pieces because of the movie that's probably coming out. And that's where kind of seeing these gaming movies and things based off of these games almost hits a little different because you're able to see the world connected to the gaming world that you either grew up with or that you're really into currently. And there's definitely some things that do get lost, like Kristen was saying, with Uncharted not being completely based off the game. And you can't make it completely based off the game because then it would be kind of boring. But at the same token, seeing the worlds combine has its own novelty to it that I personally enjoy, which is why I'm looking so forward to Five Nights at Freddy's. And I'm actually working on trying to replay that series in my free time just because I'm getting ready for the movie. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to see the media kind of cross into that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad both you and Matt brought this up, because I was going to actually go into what I look for in a game, and this is a great segue. I love cinematic single player games. Just like what he described, Red Dead Redemption. I think a lot of us played the new God of War, Ragnarok. The games were like, you have this cutscenes are cinematic, and like your choices matter in the story. Those are the games that I love the most, especially, and this is the biggest part, if you can design your own character. I love when you can design your own character in a game. I feel like that increases the replayability of a game, because especially like if you have a wonderful single player game like Red Dead, it's awesome and everything, but you could play like maybe 1 or 2 times because you get the good ending or the bad ending. But I feel like if a game gives you the option to create a character like Hogwarts Legacy with Kristen, that will make you replay the game so many more times, because you're going to be like, what if I made my character have blue hair? What if I made a character have blonde hair? What if I made them super, super handsome? What if I didn't? Like that kind of I never told you, Kristen, but my Ravenclaw, who's doing like all the bad choices and is not necessarily a monster, but he's going the bad route. I went the Tom Riddle route. Like you should have seen me when I was making this guy. I had pictures of Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans on one. I had my laptop and I'm like doing the character creation. I'm like, how am I gonna make him super handsome? Because that's like the thing. Like I gotta make him charming so that he can do all this bad stuff and get away with it.
Yeah, that's like my nice person looks like me, but I'm gonna make my mean Hufflepuff look like an anime main character, with like crazy hair and everything. Like, she has main character syndrome. She is the
Yeah. And I did a male character this round, Kristen, but now next time I'm probably going to do a female character because I want to experience it from that angle. So I love that. I love how we're all united in this love for like cinematography and games, very strong single player games, and just polished games. Like you get games nowadays that's released and it's buggy and it crashes and it needed like another year or 2 to just cook well. But like games where they took 5 years, 6 years, like how I think that's why Nintendo and Capcom are so successful, is because they take the time to make the game right so that it releases right. And then that's when you get the sales, 10 million, 20 million, 30 million copies. So
I mean, I will say sometimes having a buggy game is actually kind of fun.
It can be a good time.
Especially when it's like open world kind of setting. Sometimes having those little glitches and little things that you can do kind of make it more interesting.
Skyrim. Pretty much.
Yeah, Skyrim.
I was going to ask you guys, I like horror movies, but I find I'm never as scared in a movie as I am in a game when I know I have to go through the door and there's going to be something bad on the other side. I have to be like, okay. Like I have to start hyping myself up. I feel like I don't feel as deeply as I do when I'm the one making that decision.
Yeah. Absolutely. This scene in the original Resident Evil and all of its pixelated glory on the PlayStation 1, the moment that dog jumped through the window was, again, that we're talking almost 30 years now since I experienced that. I will never forget that. Me and my buddy sitting in his dorm room just screaming at each other, like, terrifying. Absolutely. And that's what I think we're touching on the same thing I was talking about before. It's such an immersive experience. And the people who I know who don't play games for whatever reason, they either feel they're too old for them and never experience them, they're missing out on this incredibly immersive storytelling experience that you really can't get anywhere else. It is very different experience a book and a movie where the horror comes and goes. And yes, when you are forced to make that decision and step into a dark room or jump into a dark pit and you don't know what's at the bottom, or just a zombie dog jumps through a window when you're walking down a hallway, like that. Holy cow.
I had to stop playing Death Stranding because I was getting too worried about the baby my character was carrying. Like it would cry and I'd have to like rock my remote to calm it down. And I was like, the baby's too upset. Now I'm the baby and I need to stop playing.
I know, and stuff like Alien Isolation or Outlast, I think when you're talking about survival horror games, you're in first person and you're
Yeah.
hiding from them or you're running away from them. That's terrifying.
Does anybody know Game Maker's Toolkit? That's an awesome, incredibly well produced YouTube channel. He's a dude from Britain. I forget his last name. It's Mark something. He did a whole episode on how the devs went into that game and all of the different things they tried to make it as terrifying as possible. I got into it because he has a whole one on Zelda and dungeon design in all the Zelda games. It's called Boss Keys. It's sort of a sub channel of his. He's opened my eyes to everything that goes into well-polished game design and the choices that game developers make to make the experience just the way they are. And the Alien Isolation one, it was a recent episode, I think, was very interesting because they tried all these different things like autosave. They took that out of the game because they found people would just die and then reload, and it took that tension out. We're trying to get to the save point. And my understanding is that has save points in the game, made it much, much more intense. He really does an awesome job. And he interviews devs and just goes into like the incredible amount of work and thought that these creative people put into making these worlds that we live in and experience, and tiny little things that they try and little things that they'll buff and nerf just to get it just right. And again, getting back to Nintendo, that's why I love Nintendo. That's what they do. They really spend the time to make the controls and the physics, and Mario jumps too high, or they just dial it all in. So every experience, I think, of their mainline games are just, a joy to play.
I haven't played a lot of horror games, to be honest. Like Five Nights at Freddy's, much the closest thing that I've done.
Horror game.
But I never necessarily felt afraid in that game. It was more hysterical to me than anything. One of the games I play that I'm struggling with so bad right now is Daisy. So it is a post-apocalyptic zombie game, and it is very strict survival. You have to eat, you have to drink. If you get wet, you get sick. If you get sick, you have problems and you have to find medicine. It's a whole thing. It's very in-depth. It's an online game. Love it. Love it so much. But that game scares me more than Five Nights at Freddy's. Because you never know when the zombie's going to come out. You never know when another player's going to come out. You never know if you're going to find your friends or not. Because even though I play with my group for that game, we spawn in different locations. So then we all have to find each other. And there is no way to find each other in the game
Oh, wow.
at all.
That sounds
fun. The game is so stressful. But part of that stress actually makes it extremely fun. But that game is one of the ones that kind of scares me more, because if you don't have any of your supplies yet, you don't have your weapons, you don't have proper clothing, you don't have your food, you don't have water, you don't have any means of anything, and then all of a sudden someone comes out, whether it's a zombie or another player, the instant panic sets in of, I have to get out of here. So then you're running and you're praying that this person isn't armed either, and then you're praying that you don't run into a zombie on your way out from that person. And it turns into a whole thing.
Is it a required multiplayer game, or can you solo it? Or
it's automatically online, but if you want it to play by yourself, you very much can. I will say having the extra hands makes things a little better.
Okay. It's called Daisy, you said?
Daisy.
Yeah. Okay, so to wrap things up, what game that we talked about, or even a game that hasn't come out yet, or a game that you just want to try in general, what is that game? What do you guys are all either really looking forward to or just want to try from something we discussed?
Someone brought up Resident Evil. I only ever played one Resident Evil game, and I want to play Resident Evil 4 because I heard it was a masterful remake. It's a remake of the fourth one. So that's the game I really want to try because someone mentioned that, and I hear it has an amazing story and an amazing gameplay.
That's an awesome game.
The next one I'm going to probably play after I finish Jedi Survivor that I'm playing is Assassin's Creed Mirage. It's coming out in October, and it looks like it's getting back to the original Assassin's Creed roots, a little more like sneaking and not so much an RPG. So I'm really excited about that, to see how it goes.
And it takes place in the Middle East, like Altair, too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm going to be playing Tears of the Kingdom for probably like 2 years, the way I play those games. I want to try the Alien Isolation that we were just talking about. I really want to try that.
Scare your pants off, man.
I haven't played a solid horror game in a long time, and that just heard that is an awesome game that hits all those. Just a scary game, and I could go for that. I don't have a PS5 yet. I still have a PS4, and I have a lot of games backlogged on that. I have the Jedi, the first one. I haven't played that. I just finished the 2019 or 2018 God of War. But I think at some point, once I either feel like taking a break from Zelda or squeezing other games into and around Zelda, it will be the Jedi Survivor. Yeah, because I have that on my backlog on my PS4, just sitting there waiting for me to play.
I think I have so many games on my backlog right now. But I think my next top one is probably going to end up being Hogwarts Legacy.
Let's
I definitely want to play that. But you know, there's a bunch of games out there that I want to try. There's a bunch of games that I want to redo. And one of the beauties about being in the library, working with the library, is we have a lot of games in our system now. We have Switch, we have PS4, we have PS5, and the Xbox. I love that the library is able to provide those now, and it kind of gives people a chance that, you know what, you haven't played that type of series before, you haven't played that type of game before, but you want to try it. The library is a great way to do that. It's a great way to bring games home that maybe you don't want to spend the money on, but you're dying to try. And a lot of the games we mentioned today, we do have in our systems. You know, and I think our listeners, if any of you guys are looking for one of the games that we mentioned, or you're looking for a game in general that you want to try, or one that you just can't afford right now, either way, we probably have it. Go into the library near you and ask about it. We can
save some money. Definitely save some money.
Yeah, use your library.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to visit our website, theoceancountylibrary.org/teens/fannation, for a listing of all events happening this year. All titles mentioned on today's episode can be accessed free with your library card. Until next time, have a fantastic day.